Hello,
and welcome to another
VanChat Tuesday.
Yeah.
I got that right this time.
Bless you. We thought we'd carry on from pretty much the last one we talked about, which was about travel in France, and this one is travel in Spain. And in an effort to not put all this information in our normal weekly vlog, which is normally, quite upbeat and everything else, we thought we'd get this one out of the way now. So if anyone's got any questions about us travelling around, then we can refer them back to this video.
Yes.
So this is just about our experience of the last week or so travelling around Spain during the current situation. It's not locked down. There are
lots of restrictions.
Limitations,
Yeah, lots of restrictions, and the restrictions seem to be different per region.
Yep.
Per principality.
No, it's
municipality.
Yeah.
Then each municipality, and then obviously you've got some towns have been selected as well to have a different set of rules to everything else as well. So it literally is an ongoing looking at everything before you can move around to check that it's okay to do so.
And specifically look around at that hour. So there's no point thinking yesterday it was all right because today at 6 o'clock, is it? It changes again.
Today at midnight in Andalusia it changes again, because that's what the Andalusian government bods people have decided that they're making changes as of midnight tonight. So.
Yeah. So as far as moving around is concerned, let's first of all get that one underway. The police are all right with us moving around, and the Guardia, which is like, I suppose the civil guard is like the National Guard, but they're not. They're like, you've got police, which is local, and then the Guardia, which is national, or whatever way it works out.
Yeah, well, there's two different kinds. Let's put it that way. So you've got the local police and the Guardia and Orgada.
Yeah, but they're both all right. We've come across both of them, and we've spoken to both of them. Both have checked on us wherever we've been parked, and then at checkpoints or after spoken to them, they've allowed us to carry on, with the exception of one, which is actually today, and that was in a national park. We got told off for parking in a
recreation area.
Yeah, recreation area, like a sort of a picnic area.
But what we figured out after that, because we'd listened to a few things, obviously. We are terrible because we can't speak Spanish at all, apart from the pleasantries, and they knew very little English, so we managed to use the whole gesticulating wildly to figure it out. And it seems that we'd picked the only recreation place to stop that the sign had fallen off to say no camper vans, because every other one in the national park that we passed had a sign that said no camper vans. They just said that we couldn't stay there and that we had to move on to a spot where it was okay.
Yeah, and then told us where to go. Yeah. And then actually, probably an hour later when we got to that point, because it was all up mountain roads, we passed the same Guardia sort of couple of cops,
two of them by the side road, and they waved on the way past, as if to say, like, thanks for moving.
Yeah, and then they passed us later on because we stopped for lunch at the side of the road, and they passed us later on and just sort of gave us a nod. So there's no issue as such, and I think this is going back, for me, it's going back to UK lockdown, whereby we were all locked down and we couldn't move, and then they lifted travel restrictions so you could travel as much as you wanted to. However, you had to return to your address.
Yeah, your home at the end of the day,
Obviously, we don't have any address or any place to return to. So our travel in the UK was perfectly okay. From all the times you've watched our videos and we spoke to the police and they were all right with that. Well, over here, it's the same thing. Because it's not an actual lockdown, there are curfews, which we abide by. There are rules on social distancing.
And mask wearing.
Which we abide by.
Yeah.
So if there is a rule that applies to us, we're abiding by it. But as far as rules currently that they've told us that are stipulated to residents of a town, municipality or a region, they don't apply in their movement sort of criteria to us.
Yeah.
So
it is residents, and it's unfortunate, and I feel bad that it seems to be okay.
So the first night in Spain. Was it first or second night?
It was the second night
in Spain, we had a local copper
come round and have a chat with us. And we were telling him about our travel plans and what we were doing, and he didn't say anything bad about them at all, just really kind of shrugged his shoulders and said that. And he said that there are 3 things that they are
hot on.
Hot on.
Yeah, you must abide by. Yeah.
The curfew. Absolutely the number one thing, and that's different times in different areas, so we have to check those out and make sure 9 out of 10 times we're in the van watching a film anyway, and the only thing we do is we go out with Coop and we asked him about taking a dog out, and that's one of the acceptable things that you can leave your residence for in the evening is for dog walking.
I mean, it's pitch black after 6:30 anyway, so
yeah. So I mean, and it's not like we go skipping down the street. You know, we literally, he goes out, he does his business, and then he comes back in again. The next one is social distancing. It's 1.5 meters in Spain,
and that was because we were just seeing Dom and Missy, wasn't it? And it was coming there, and it was our fault. So he was pointing out that, which is fair enough.
Which was fine. And the other one was wearing masks in public areas. Yeah. So
this was you've probably seen the video by now. This was a little so a camper stop, but on a roundabout in a public kind of village. So that was why. The rest of the time we've been parking in really remote areas where there's been no one around. So obviously that's all right.
Mask on, although saying that we've always got one on us. Yeah. And then if anybody else comes around, even if they're on the other side of the road or anything like that, we pop the masks on. So. Everybody else seems to be doing the same. They've got the masks under the chin or hanging off one ear, and then as soon as they see us coming up, it's just like casually, don't even break the sentence. Yeah. Blah, 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 mask on, and that seems to be the acceptable thing to do, and it's right, and I feel better for doing it.
Yeah, no, that's
fine.
So
you know, it's those two. So they're the three things that the police say that they are really hot on, and the hottest being the curfew.
And we've actually been through not roadblocks as such, but checkpoints that have been set up by the police. We've probably been through about 10 over the last couple of weeks or so, and at each point, you know, the guard, whatever, he pops out in the middle of the road, checks the number plate, and then just stands at the way and just kind of waves by.
And literally, we'll say,
yeah, you can go on.
Go on by. So and that's been on main roads. We've done that on a real main road, and going from one region to another.
Yeah. So we're only doing what we know we are being allowed to do, and then we are also abiding by the laws, and we're also keeping on top of the government website. So I'm not interested in any other people's YouTube videos. Some of you keep mentioning some Spanish guy on it, some Australian guy who lives in Spain or something, but a lot of that stuff he says is supposition. A lot of the websites out there and Facebook groups are supposition as well, or people's interpretation. As ours is our interpretation, because we live in a van, which is quite unique. Yeah. So just bear these things in mind. But this video is about us wanting to portray a message that some of you may have got a little bit wrong, because I know someone said, "Oh, I'm unsubscribing. This is disgusting that you're travelling around," but we're travelling around. Okay, you know, we're not actually doing anything wrong until we're told we're doing something wrong, and then we'll stop. Then we'll carry on travelling around, which is probably about an hour a day, hour and a half a day. We find remote areas. We're up in the mountains. We're out of the way of all people and, you know, major populations and stuff like that.
We're only getting food, fuel and gas when we absolutely need it. So we're waiting until the very end. I mean, we're not anywhere near the end of our food stocks, and this is stuff that we've had in here for ages since the first lockdown. So you know what? I've got enough gnocchi. We're all right.
Sure.
Just about. I think we've got 5 packets left, so we'll be okay. We'll be okay. But you know, we are travelling in a global pandemic.
Yep.
And we don't want to get ill. We don't want to catch anything. So we're washing our hands. We're using hand sanitizer when we go in shops, and we're wearing gloves when we fuel up. We're staying out of everybody's way if we possibly can. If we need food, we're quick. We're in there and back out again. We'll wait.
And we're avoiding the massive shops, aren't we? Going to the little shops as well.
We're trying to get the smaller ones with hardly any people in.
Going at siesta time as well, so it's less busy.
That is a good point actually. If we go in there during the afternoon, then there's hardly any people in there, and then when you're in there, it's just a case of being careful and things, because you know, like I say, global pandemic, whichever way you look at it, and whichever country you're in. You're in the UK, you're in Spain, you're in France. Anywhere you go, you've got to be just as careful.
Yep, because ultimately we don't want to be ill, and we don't want to make anybody else ill. So we don't want to catch it from somebody else. With, you know, all that kind of thing that you're doing by sitting in your house, we're doing by sitting in our house as well. But we just thought we would make you aware of the situation, so you needn't worry about us or pass judgment on us without having, you know, the information. Or the other side of it is the people that are still travelling around France and Spain and the rest of Europe. quite okay. That they're not breaking any laws by doing so. Just to let them know, if you are coming to Spain, this is what we've found right now. This is the situation travelling around Spain as of right now.
Yeah. And we've not found any animosity.
No.
From anybody at all.
No, we're going through little villages around the mountains and that, and I just wave at people, you've had nod, and people wave back and nod back.
Yeah,
so.
We had this little old fella walking his dog before from this almost deserted old, like a touristy type village, but everything was closed up, and he was just plodding along, and we both wave at him, and we get a massive smile and a wave back, and it just seems to be okay.
Yeah,
it's okay, and I think it's okay because we're not taking the mickey.
No.
We are staying out of the way. 9 out of 10 times when we're parked up, people can't see us from the road.
No.
So
I think what we're going back to right now is unfortunately what we experienced personally when we started to move around after movement was allowed in the UK, and the police told us this. We had our suppositions, kind of like, I wonder if it is, but the police said people are just jealous of people that are out there doing things that they perceive they're not allowed to do. So I'm sorry if this wasn't the normal upbeat video that you get from us, which is the reason why we wanted to put it in this rather than
the weekly vlog. Yeah. Just so it's totally separate off, because we don't want to be. We are doing some wonderful things. Well, we are in wonderful places, and the scenery is jaw-dropping, and the Spanish are wonderful, and I have been blown away left, right and centre. So the last thing we want to do within all of that is to make it seem like we are like this. I mean, it is a bit of a roller coaster, it really is, but the vlogs will stand on their own, and will show just how wonderful Spain is when you get off the beaten path and do things that are just slightly different. And it is lovely. And for this one, we can just say, we as soon as anybody tells us any different, then we will start acting different.
Changing whatever we do.
We'll change what we do. We've found speaking to the Spanish police to be a really good thing. Because they will literally tell you very, very straight. It's probably very straight because of the language difference. Yeah,
like where we are now. We are at actually an official Auto Caravanas parking spot. Which is probably a mile outside of a normal little village. It's got services here. It's open. It's free to use. You
can stay here for a maximum of 7 days, and there's a whole list of things, like no actual camping, so no getting chairs out and no fires and things, which is fine. But there's a toilet emptying point. There's potable water, and it's beautiful. And I can see hills and hills and hills and hills full of olive trees.
It's made your day, that.
It is. It's amazing because I love olives. I love olive trees, and I love olive oil, and I love tapenade, so it's all the olivey things. I just love them all, and so you can see as far as the eye can see. And I've been giddy as heck, because you'll see this on Thursday's video, because we've seen deer, and we've seen deer with massive antlers, and we've seen goats, and it's brilliant. And when I was reading my book last night, a lizard crawled on my leg, and I scared the bejesus out of it because I screamed. But it's just, there's all these little bits of things that we wouldn't have seen if we hadn't done what we're doing. So.
And I do believe that going to the mountains was the right idea over sticking to the beaches too.
Yeah, me too.
So
it's amazing.
Yeah,
it is amazing.
So hopefully that's cleared it up. Whether you're travelling to Spain and you've been worried about it, and now you know, our experience anyway, or whether you are sat at home wondering, if we're all right or what's going on with us, then hopefully that's cleared it up too.
Yep. And just one little other thing, that the Spanish official website says that they are open for tourists.
Yes.
That they are still accepting tourists from every country. So there is absolutely no reason for, I'm sure that would be the first point if they didn't want you to come here at all.
Hotels, restaurants and campsites are open. In the regions that have got those activities open, they're open. So they wouldn't have them open if we weren't allowed to come and use them.
You wouldn't be able to fly from Britain to here if you couldn't do it. So, it is. There's lots of different things and different ways of looking at it. So it just is that we're not having any problems doing what we're doing at the moment. And we know lots of people who are also not having any problems too. So one last thing, and I know sometimes VanChat Tuesday we do a Q&A. And obviously if you do have any questions you want to ask us on anything else, then pop them down in the comments below as well. But we were asked a question, and Daz was asked the same question as well. And it was, if you could say one thing and everyone in the world, so like 7.8 billion people, could hear you say it, what would you tell them? And mine would be kind. So think about that when you're commenting in the section below. Okay.
Right then.
And on that note,
we shall go.
We shall go.
We'll catch you on Thursday.
Take care, guys. See you soon. Bye.